Welcome to a new episode of Dreams Trello News. I'm your host Acer, and in this video we're going to go over the most recent update where they decided to release everything. Update 2.43. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I really did not think they would do it like this. I was hoping they would. Like maybe they've been like working on it and they've been like saving it up to just release them all at the same time, but I didn't think they actually would, but they are. So let's go through every single one. Let's start from the top with the time gadget. A new gadget which reports the current time and date, as well as the time and date that the player entered the level. Also adds options to the sun and sky gadget to set sun position automatically based on a given time. So this one, it has one really good use for generating random numbers. You can use the current time and date and get just a completely random number. There's still a bug with Dreams randomization where like every time you start the level it'll be the same random numbers. It's weird, but this will give us completely random numbers. Everything else about this feels a little gimmicky to me, or at the very least very niche. Like Animal Planet. Animal Crossing comes to mind, where like in the game it's like the same time of day as in real life, but I mean for most games we make it's not really gonna be very helpful. But if you want that, this is perfect. You'll be able to easily match the time of day outside to the time of day in your game. But the part I'm most excited about is the ability to use the current time and date to generate truly random numbers. The next one is Bake Emitted. What the heck does that mean? I know what it means. Adds a new tool which lets you convert objects emitted through logic emitters into permanent elements of your scene. All right, so for those of you who have never used an emitter, you'll know that when you what is an emitter? It duplicates an object, right? So you emit objects, and then when you restart the game, all those emitted objects go away. With this, you can keep them. So let's say in edit mode, or like you're building out a level, right? And you emit a bunch of things, maybe like rocks and trees and stuff. With this option, I don't know if it's going to be like a new gadget, or it's probably going to be a setting in the emitter. With this setting turned on, all those things that are emitted don't go away when you restart the scene. This is unironically like game changing. We will be able to create tools to generate levels and then keep those levels, like save those levels out. It's seriously, this is awesome for like procedurally generating anything, environments, dungeons, like decorating things. There's so much potential with this. I can't even. There's too much to list. All right, another bake one. Bake to paint, a new feature which lets you select multiple sculpts and convert them into a single paint object. This will let you turn sculpts into paint. Why would you want to do that? There is only one reason. There's a single reason, that, in my opinion, and that's for transparency. This is basically adding sculpt transparency, because paint can be transparent. Sculpts cannot be. This turns sculpts into paint. I have to assume that like the paint will look just like the sculpt. I hope. Maybe it won't, but I mean, sculpts are made of Flex, paint is made of Flex, so I don't see why it would look that much different. So like this will let you create glass, anything transparent. Again, there's so much potential with this. It's hard to even like list things. You can do so much with this. And I guess another good thing about this is you can take multiple sculpts and turn them into one paint object. So it's potentially saving thermo. Maybe you have like 100 really small sculpts or something. You can turn them into one paint. I don't know if that's the best example, but it'll definitely help you save thermo potentially, depending on how good the transformation is. because maybe it just doesn't look as good. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm really excited for this one. All right, up next, the calculator update. We're getting a wide calculator. All right, so extra calculator operation types adds 2 new pages to the calculator with additional mathematical operations, including trigonometry functions and vector operations. So trig is like sine, cosine, wave stuff, and vector operations. So like vectors are like the tag gizmo is a vector, for example, velocity, stuff like that. We're able to do operations on them without having like to use dozens of gadgets. It's just one gadget now. This is, oh my God, this is so nice. And then the wide calculator gadget adds a new gadget. Okay, so this is separate from the calculator. That's interesting. It's an entirely new gadget which can perform single mathematical operations, so like add, multiply, etc., on up to 10 inputs at once. So it's not gonna do like crazy stuff. It's probably only gonna be like add, multiply, divide, and subtract. But up to 10. So you don't need to chain gadgets together anymore. It's just, this is really nice. These 2 things are gonna save so much thermo and just make things so much easier. All right, next up, there's a new Fleck type. Adds a new Fleck type to paint mode, a fully opaque square. And I'll put a picture of that up right now. This is nice. I mean, Flecks are kind of weird, so it's nice to be able to have just like a solid normal Fleck. I guess this would be abnormal compared to the other ones, but this will be very nice for very, very accurate paintings, crisp paintings. Because before you had like the thick line or whatever it's called, but now this is going to be like the new, probably the new default for just drawing really precise paint lines. This is very, very nice. I wish they could add more, but I feel like, as far as I know, there's like memory concerns or constraints or whatever. But at least we get one, right? No, like for example, like a triangle one, a circle one, stuff like that. Like it would be nice to have all the shapes, but this is still a hexagon one. This is more than enough. All right, next up, the feature that I wanted in my previous video is actually coming. Display input-output values on the tweak menu. Input and output tweaks can now have a numeric display, which shows the value currently being received or output. So you know how you like wire things into chips? It seems like somewhere around there, we're gonna like actually see the value coming in. And this is fantastic. This helps debugging. This helps clarity. This helps logic readability. This is wonderful. This is a wonderful addition. The camera blocker tweak adds a new tweak to sculpts, which provides control over whether that object blocks the third-person camera or not. Currently, we don't control that. If I remember correctly, I think it's just if the sculpt is visible, it'll block the camera, but it might have to be collidable. Regardless, now this will let us like set what blocks the third-person camera, and this is fantastic. This is just another reason why you should just use the third-person camera instead of making your own. Making your own does have some benefits, but every new thing they add to this just gives you more and more of a reason not to make your own, which I think is ideal. I think the third-person camera should have as many tweaks as possible. So this is a step in the right direction. Next up, sun position input output adds a new tweak to the sun and sky gadget, which lets you control the position of the sun through logic, and which provides the current sun position as an output. All right, cool. So we can input a position and make the sun go there and get that position as well. Minimum screen space text size tweak. This is huge. This is for a lot of different games. We'll be able to use this. Pretty much everything, actually. Adds a new tweak to the text displayer, which allows you to set a minimum screen space size for text, which is set to display in the world. Useful for ensuring in-world prompts never become unreadable. So if you have any text that is like in scene, so not on the screen, in scene, this will allow us to set a minimum size for it. So no matter how far away you get, it'll still be that size at the very least. So it'll make sure text is still readable if it's really far away. This is so helpful, so helpful. FK to IK toggle allows you to convert an animation made with FK, L2, to IK, R2, or vice versa. I don't remember which is which, but one is like the rotation animation and one is like the dragging animation. And that's fantastic that we can convert between the two now. Typically, the rotating animation is like smoother, but the dragging animation, it like keeps the thing there. I know I'm being kind of vague, but I'm trying to like say it in a way that makes sense. So regardless, this is a very nice thing to have. Because before you'd have to like, or right now at least, you'd have to remake the animation. Next up, Liven function for live cloning. In addition to the clone tool, which allows you to make matching sculpts become live clones. Useful if you forgot to enable the live clone option at the time that you cloned them originally. Also adds a new toggle, allowing for visuals to be turned on/off if they become overwhelming. Allowing for visuals to be turned on/off. I'm not really sure what that means, but I guess we'll find out. But this is nice because if you clone things and then you forgot to make them live, you can make them live retroactively. So like after the fact, you can just make them live clones. This is awesome. Next up, Lumanoise Tweak. Adds a new tweak to sculpts to disable the built-in hue variation of sculpts flex. Okay, so maybe I think sculpts are like, they're made up of flecks, right? And those flecks have variance in their colors. And this is gonna disable that, possibly. Let us disable it. So maybe we can make sculpts that are like just a solid color. Or is this talking about, like, you know how there's like two layers of flecks? There's like the outer layer and the inner layer. Maybe this is like turning off the inner layer or something. I'm not entirely sure. But anything that gives us more options is awesome. Now we're getting to the audio stuff, and yeah, so I'm just gonna read it. Downsampler Tweak, a new downsampler effect allowing lo-fi style audio distortion. This is different and separate from the current bit crusher effect. Great. Legato Tweak, a new feature allowing legato between notes in a music clip. Currently, it is only possible to create a legato effect by performing it live. I actually know what this means. This feature allows one of two types of dynamic legato, including polyphonic legato that only links notes that are perfectly consecutive. What's the other type? Okay, whatever. This is great because beforehand for legato, for like blending notes, you had to do it live, as it said. Now it seems like you can just add it. So that's awesome. That gives you way more control. I'm surprised this wasn't already a thing, to be honest. So Transpose Tweak, a new slider for instrument type sounds and FX fields, allowing semitone transposition at the note trigger level. I.e., unlike the coarse pitch slider, it will actually trigger correct audio samples, allowing an entire song or section to change key dynamically. The only thing I understand about that is allowing an entire song or section to change key dynamically. Cool. All right, that's cool. Random octave jump, a new granular synthesis jitter slider that adds a random chance for octave jumps per grain, resulting in thick cloud-like textures and other effects. All right, so it allows you to like randomly change octaves. That's pretty cool. Maybe people can make new sounds. Awesome. All right, so that's it for the audio stuff. Adjust detail. The detail tool now lets you click on paintings to reduce the number of splats within them as a way of reducing their impact on your scene's thermometer. Originally named sculpture detail, but has been changed with this update. Nice. So before we could adjust sculpture detail, now we can adjust painting detail and sculpture detail. So that's awesome. Really, really great. I don't even know how you would reduce the thermo of paintings before. You just have to remake them, basically. So this is really nice. All right, we're almost to the end. Color blind filter. Adds a new filter that allows you to preview your scene with various forms and severities of colorblindness. So I'm actually colorblind, red-green colorblind. Basically, those colors just feel, they're more similar and they're less saturated compared to what you guys see. But this will allow you to kind of see it how I see it. Not exactly, but so it's not going to like add a colorblind mode to your game. But what it'll do is allow you guys to make your games more colorblind friendly. So like you can check if the game is unplayable in like with this filter on, and if it is, change it until it's playable or not. It's your choice. Next up, add recording to more widgets. More widgets in the editor will now be recorded if you interact with them while editing an action recorder or keyframe. I wish they'd say which widgets, but hey, this is awesome. If they let us keyframe text displayers, oh my God, the text in text displayers, I cannot, it's not strings, but it's almost strings. So instead of having to place like dozens of the same text displayer with just different text, you could just keyframe the text. I cannot stress how helpful that would actually be. And the fact that it's not written here, that it's not about text displayers, it means it probably isn't. But like at the same time, what else would it be? So I don't know. It's really weird how they're not saying which widgets, but I guess we'll find out. And finally, some bug fixes, specifically for variables. So we've added 2 fixes to the variable scope based on feedback. I'm surprised they didn't know about this, but fair enough. The scope will now be ignored if set to persistent, and the tweak will not be grayed out on a get variable modifier. So if you didn't know, when you're getting your setting, you can set the scope and it'll work. But for some reason, if you were getting, the scope buttons would be grayed out. They'd still work, but they would be grayed out. It was really, really weird. Obviously just a little bug oversight. And then, this is interesting, I didn't know this, but it makes sense. The scope will be ignored if set to persistent. So if it's a persistent variable, I mean, that makes sense, right? The scope is for local things mostly. But if it's persistent, it's global, right? So it's just gonna ignore scope. So that's cool. So some nice little bug fixes for the variable. I'm glad they're addressing this. It was weird, the grayed out buttons. All right, we got through it all. Let me know in the comments what you are looking forward to most. Me personally, I am really looking forward to Bake to Paint and the calculator update. Everything. The vast majority of these things are fantastic, but those are the 2 things for me that I will like actually use the most. Time Gadget as well for the randomization, but calculator update and Bake to Paint are, oh my God, it's gonna be so cool. Yeah, but let me know. I'd love to hear. I hope this video helped. I hope this is more enjoyable than reading through them yourself, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.